Welcome to the first interview session, myself and Jamie Heaslip on SME businesses. Delighted to change it up this week, and first in is Tom Gannon. I mentioned this in all the posts today that Tom is a legend when it comes to business, and I genuinely do mean that. Know Tom a good few years, always great to bounce stuff through him and talk about various different aspects of business, even though we're in completely different sectors. I think that's always a good sign of somebody that's really good at business that can adapt and give their thoughts on anyone's business. Tom, as everybody knows at this stage, you've seen the post, was a founder of Fulfill and has recently launched Cali Cali NutriQuick. So look, myself and Jamie, I'd like to have him as our first guest. Tom, look, over to you. Would you mind us starting from the beginning, and maybe Jamie might take you through what was going on maybe up to COVID-19?
Yeah, no problem at all. So I suppose my background apologies on this, I'm trying to get the screen right.
My background's not technology.
Can't do anything about the face, Tom. Can't do that.
Absolutely. But yeah, my background's been in food and drink for over 20 years, worked with some fantastic brands, got a really good understanding of I suppose, playing the David and Goliath and looking for what trends were happening in the Irish market, and from low fat to quality gins to energy drinks, and positioning them products and really trying to find the home. I suppose I went through a bit of a life journey myself in 2014. I was hitting the 16.5 stone mark, didn't realise at a wedding with my wife, and the photos came out, and I had a head like a turnip at that stage, and I said, right, it's time to look after myself now. And I signed up with a guy called Paul Stewart in Clondalkin. I suppose he worked with a lot of strength and conditioning teams across the Irish football scene. So I signed up with him, went on a complete 12-week plan. I ended up growing a set of gills at the end of the 12 weeks. I ate that much fish, and I'll never look at broccoli again. But I suppose for me, I always had a sweet tooth, and that gave me the inspiration to, I suppose, try to create a healthy chocolate bar. And put a lot of energy, a lot of market research, and I suppose hitting that wave at the right time. That's what we did, and both myself and Oil succeeded in creating something that became within the top 50 brands in the Irish market in year one, outselling Flora, Kellogg's cornflakes in value terms. So I had a great journey there. Took that brand to 22 countries worldwide. And I exited the business in around August, September 2018. And I suppose I'd taken it to a monster, and I was quite content to be able to walk away at that stage and move on to I suppose, hopefully other successful products. So I got involved in a company called NutriQuick, which was predominantly an online business. Apologies about this, guys.
That's all right.
Got involved with a company called NutriQuick. The founder of the business, very passionate. I could see so much of myself in him. And I suppose for me, I had a lot of time on my hands at that stage where I analysed, looked at it and seen if the opportunity was there before I suppose I jumped 2 feet in. Right. And again, a lot of market research went into ensuring that it wasn't just a 12-month trend, that this was going to have longevity but what the business needed was a big contract. And so for us, we needed to find a partner in the Irish market. I had a facility that I suppose could produce a lot of meals, but when you're just fully dependent on one channel, which is online, you're going to have to spit out a lot of meals, and you're going to have a lot of retention. So we were very fortunate with Aldi, with their Aldi to Grow program. We got the product in there. We went through testing and sampling for about 5 or 6 different rounds. And right. GM for the Irish and UK market makes the final decision. And they came to us and said, we're going to take your brand in January 2019. Okay. But we had a criteria to hit a certain quota per week per store. And, that was really down to us to use our influence of people that we knew in the industry, use digital, I suppose, and social media platforms to really tell people, hey, we're on sale here, all the benefits of the product, that we only use Irish beef, we only use Irish chicken, we source all our fruit and veg locally, we're not cutting corners. If we're going to stand over a really healthy nutritional meal, we're going to ensure the ingredients match that as well. Within 12 weeks, we had blown our numbers out of the water, and we ended up becoming 0.04% of Aldi's overall business, which in turn allowed us really put the roadmap in place to grow this business. And from there, yeah, we went on the journey. We got the facility. Well, you know, I suppose then we needed to move into other channels again to build brand awareness. We started speaking to BWG, which will be the biggest convenience group in the Irish market. And they wanted us to launch in the May of 2019. But we said, look, guys, we're not ready for it. Let us come to you in October and we'll do it right. And we launched with them then in October. Got our distribution then between the Fresh Group, between Eurospar, Spar, Mace, Londis. So as a business model, that was up until the 15th of March, you know, doing...
Tom, do you mind me asking, sorry, before Jamie gets into the COVID-19 stuff, just mentioned two things there, right? One was doing it right with BWG. And I suppose so often small businesses can be tempted by the bigger names. Like, how hard was it to turn down not turn them down, but to have the cop on, again, for being good in business, but how hard is it to turn down BWG for 6 months or 8 months and not go for? What would you recommend to other people that maybe get a piece? Because people are knocking on their door all the time trying to get distribution, and they might not be ready. That's a big thing, I think, for businesses.
Yeah, I again, look, there's definitely a level of experience that goes behind that, and there's no point getting the product listed if you don't have a plan to pull it through, because you're going to need to have feet on the street. You're going to need to go and meet the groups within groups. You got to have that plan, and you got to have the time to do it. And I suppose if you go and you jump in and you don't hit the rate per sale, you don't get a second chance at it. So I suppose it's great to say, hey, we're listed in BWG, and 3 months later, you have 0 rate of sale because you haven't done it right. It's about really identifying the stores where the product, so people might look and say, I want to be in the top 100 stores in value terms, but your product may not suit that store because it could be a supermarket with an age profile of 50 plus. So you really have to do your due diligence on it. You've got to understand if, you know, who your consumer is. And then once you understand who your consumer is, then you go and you start identifying where you believe your product's going to sell. So for example, Spar Park West, it's in an industrial estate. It's got a high, I suppose it's got a lot of millennials working there. It's got people that are training in the gym next door to it. They're, I suppose, again, pre-COVID, they were cash rich and time poor. So we knew we had the solution for them. So we'd over-index and we'd say we would rather be in one Park West than being in 10 stores around the country. And you know, again, it's really having that roadmap and step by step where we would have said, right, we will launch in October. We will target the top 50 stores. Those 50 stores we will over-index and call on a weekly basis. We'll create point of sale. We'll create a digital plan that, you know, we will geo-target people. For example, Eurospar Barrow Street, you know, couldn't be in a better position underneath Google. How did we target those people? The Fresh Group and Camden Street, geo-targeting. So we are overspending, but we see the long-term vision that once people buy once they taste the product, they will stay in it. But you can't just walk away straight away and say, job is done.
Actually, on that, Tom, you know, so, I mean, you know, you had a really, like, by the sounds of it, you had a really good strategy. You thought about it. You knew what your customer looked like. You knew what you wanted to, who you wanted to go after, and where and how you wanted to do that, right? And you were really patient. Didn't see the big starry shines of BWG and rush into it straight away. Took your time, and then you take off in October. It's all going really well, and then, like you said, March 15th, March 16th, it hits. And what does that do to you as a business? Because obviously you do have your online channel, But what was the split? Because I'm guessing
But
a
we
lot
didn't,
of it
Jamie,
was in
sorry to
store.
cut across you. Jamie, just to be clear, we didn't have an online. The business started as an online platform. We walked away from the online. We fully focused on retail, and we had to pivot straight back into online. And you know, I mean, hats off to Concordi and Danielle. I mean, these guys worked tirelessly with Flip Dish to get us back up and operational within 7 days. I mean, there was people working 14 hours a day, you know, to get us back and to be relevant out there, because we lost 70% of our business in a heartbeat.
And what was your mindset? Like, you see 70% gone overnight. What was the mindset? You know, what was the strategy straight away there in your thinking?
Well, I suppose it was two different businesses. I had, I suppose, a business that had a lot of investment that had gone in to build the brand awareness in Cali Cali. And we had, I suppose, some very, very tough decisions to make on the weekend of the Saturday and Sunday. So I suppose my strengths is really about cutting everything to the cloth, looking at the business, building distribution, building numbers. My business partner in Cali Cali is an absolutely amazing marketeer. He's, you know, headed Red Bull in the Irish market. He was absolutely inspirational in developing the strategy behind Fulfill. But it's saying to him, you're spending no more money. Finished. End the story, right? And that to a marketeer is not really what they want to hear. But you know, we use it's called a heart and vein strategy, and we look at, to build a brand, your heart is a city. So Dublin City, Galway City, Cork City, you know, and how you can within those stores become relevant, and you create point of sale that's beautiful colors. You obstruct the consumer as they're walking to pay to the till with big stands that really go, hey, what's this product that's guilt-free? And you know, that in turn is probably the best form of marketing that's been proven now over the last couple of years. And then we use our vein strategy as the forecourts. So because there's a forecourt in the 32 counties with Circle K and with Applegreen, and both, again, massive supporters of what I've done over the years, and but believe in what you're bringing as an incremental product to their business. Overnight, boom, gone. I mean, it's like, this is your business model, just pulled from underneath you. And
Tom, we spoke about before previously, me and you. Just bring the viewers through this if you don't mind. It's very interesting. When you found out about COVID-19, when you didn't think it was, not say you didn't take it seriously, but like everybody was kind of a little bit of news about it trickling through, and then bam, schools are closed. You start going, oh shit, this might be so.
I was out of the country on the Thursday, and somebody taps me on the shoulder and says the Taoiseach's about to make an announcement in Washington. And I'm like, right, this is real. How do we get a flight back home? Are we going to be thrown into quarantine? Blah, blah, blah. So we got back in on the Friday morning. We weren't meant to come in till the afternoon. As I was in the airport, I was meeting people in the same situation. I'll tell you what it was so similar to when the Brexit, when Brexit had been passed.
Voted, yeah.
I was sitting in the City of London airport, and there was just screens everywhere open with graphs, fellas trying to jump through glass, saying this is just can't be happening. And we felt the exact same, that not that it wasn't taken serious, but nobody thought we were going to see what was implemented as fast. So we got back in on the Friday morning. We were working from the airport. You know, I met with both my business partners in both businesses on the Saturday and the Sunday. We start creating emergency budgets straight away. We said, right, budgets, what we have today, out the window. Let's look at where our break-even number is. Let's look at what we need to do within this business. So as an example, with NutriQuick, we said, right, we know we're going to lose 70%. People are going to start now having lots of time on their hands. They're going to start cooking from home from scratch. On one business in Cali Cali on the sauces, I take advantage of that, because you have all these people now, you know, using raw ingredients and want to flavor the product up. with NutriQuick, we knew that we needed a wider range of products than just the meals. And so I suppose just to take it back to NutriQuick, we pulled together where we were, what our break-even number was, and we had 3 shifts running at that stage, 7-hour shifts. We were hitting close to, the facility could hit 35,000 meals per week, and that kept us at I suppose, the best quality of food. We could have pushed it a little bit further, but we always stand over quality being our number one USP. So we said we're going to take the production to 10-hour shifts instead of 7 hours, run that extra bit harder on the machines and try and get the cost savings from that. We went and done a massive deep dive on our ingredients and seeing where we could start to get some savings. And our tour part was around wastage, and we took our wastage, which was running at about 6% to 2%. And within, I'd say, 72 hours, we felt comfortable that we had a business that was break even.
Sorry, Tom, just talk us through the numbers on the 6 to 2, because a lot of people watching this might think that's
huge.
Much. Sorry, it is huge. As the number was for you, it's a lot. Like 6 to 2 is so much. It's massive. Obviously, your business, Jamie says. What are the actual numbers?
About 12,000 euros net. Yes.
That's scary, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, and I'm going to say, on one hand, COVID-19 has been good to NutriQuick because it's allowed us really do that deep dive into businesses. It's allowed the structures. It's allowed the founder, Dean, really find his feet now and understand, you know, that he was running at some days 18 hours and he's more productive now running at 8 hours, and the facility is running more productively, and we're really prepared long term to have a very, very solid business coming out of this.
Very good.
What we did was, we, as I said, with the online platform, we needed to turn that on fast. Our company that manages our social media, I suppose, output, got the challenge of saying we need to turn this around really, really fast. And then I reached out to quite a lot of people in the food and drinks industry and said, look, guys, nobody's ever going to be sampling again. It's just, that's gone. You will not be allowed to stand on the street giving out your product. So I says, what I can do is, we've got a consumer that's genuinely split 50-50 male and female. Our age profile is ranging from around 21 to 35 as our core consumer. I says, if you give me your product, we can sample. So, for example, if you're sampling Synergy, which is kombucha, and you bring 2 people into the company in, you stand on Grafton Street, you could have 75-year-old people. I'll take a can of that off you. Yeah. Never going to buy a product again. And so a lot of sampling, about 80% of it is wasted. So I said to these companies, if you give me the product, I will give it to our consumers. It will allow me look like I'm giving value on our platform, but you're now reaching your consumers and you're keeping a sampling campaign.
That's genius.
Tom, I tell you what, I was actually case in point with that, right? Because you know, we got NutriQuick meals there delivered. I think it was Wednesday we got them delivered, right? Tuesday or Wednesday. God love the delivery driver. I was out the back playing with my kid in the pool, and I answered the front door at the top off. I think he nearly got sick on the meals. But anyway.
I was speaking to him. He was delighted. He says he's still in good nick for a guy who doesn't play much rugby anymore.
But I mean, you like, so I didn't know that was going to happen, where I was going to get the extras, right? But the value add there was huge, right? And it was such a, I thought it was, hearing you tell that story, it was such a good, it doesn't seem like much, but a really good pivot of adding value. Well, not I'm not saying it wasn't work, but not a whole lot of work compared to getting 6% down to 2%. You know, it was calls, it was using your network, it was like coming up with an idea, going, okay, how do I bring value to my customer? What other pivots or trends have you noticed coming out of that FMCG world, because it's so competitive, as you know, and that David Goliath mindset that you have? What other trends are you seeing that are similar to that kind of idea? That is a really, really simple idea, but when you play it out, has a massive effect.
Like when we launched Cali Cali brands, and you know, Donald Skeen's involved with us with Cali Cali, you know, one of the top celebrity chefs in the world, but is more a foodie than a trained chef. And you know, when we were launching the brand, we said, would we do this on our own, or would we partner? So I'd been working with the guys from Gin Plus Coffee, myself and Noel, giving them a little bit of consultancy, just I suppose our journey, how to help them, and they would use us as a springboard to bounce off. So we said, look, fastest growing clothing brand in the Irish market, you know, we're all about premium and what we're selling. Why don't we use their clothing range as Gin Plus Coffee in Cali Cali? You know, the guys loved the idea. We done, you know, when we were negotiating with Permanent TSB to I suppose fund part of what we were looking to do, they loved everything about the vision and the trends of what we were trying to create, healthy street food, and bring that to life. And they said, look, is there anything we can do for you? And we were, well, look, lads, you have an iconic bank on Grafton Street. I says, it's closing Saturday and Sunday. Any chance you can give me the keys of it? I says, it's going to cost me 50 grand to take over somewhere else. He says, okay. And gave me the keys. We turned it into the most exponential pop-up shop. We had Donald in there doing live cooking demonstrations. Very fortunate. It was on the replay of the All-Ireland final. Sun was shining. Thousands of people queuing around that. But what we did was we collaborated with Gin Plus Coffee. So we had their clothing range with our Cali Cali brand, and we sold it as something, as an extra USP for ourselves. We collaborated with Manor Farm Chicken. They've got the best chicken wings. We've got the best chicken wing sauce. Let's come together, use their platforms, our platform. Sam Denigan, really good friend of mine in Strong Roots. Sam again, some fantastic products. We've a vegan sauce. He's got vegan brands. Take it together, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, its benefit, it shouldn't be just about me. It should be about their brand, how it works. They tap into my consumer. And you know, we've just that mindset, that collaboration from the outset is so much stronger than trying to just fly your own flag. But it's got to be a value proposition for everybody. And
do you think the trend of because, like, so, you know, a lot of companies, not just in your world, but in other industries, the supply chain has been disrupted a little bit.
Yep.
Do you think that idea of like you said you use only kind of Irish products, Irish suppliers, you're collaborating by the sounds of it, really, even though some of them are global brands and some of them really just in Ireland, but I'm sure they have ambition to grow. Right now, that kind of community feel is a bit of a trend that
hit the nail on the head, Jamie.
SMEs should look after.
Like, if you look at consumers today, and genuinely the biggest trends that's going, people will stay shop local. But you take the I don't want to say, but you take the extortionate pricing to a different level and taking advantage of the current situation, that will resonate with people. So people that are buying hand sanitizer and trying to sell 100 mils for $12.95, and now today you can go to Lidl, buy 100 mils for $1.99. You know, that will stick with people. But another great supporter of our brands is a guy called Barry Kerrigan, and I genuinely take my hat off to what he has done. He has the same vision as ourselves. He's Netflix. Just the reason why Netflix is so successful, it's new content. And that's what he does consistently. He, every weekend at this, you know, since the middle of March, he's breaking Christmas Eve records on a Saturday. His turnover.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That trend is there now 10, 11, 12 weeks. It is not stopping. People are queuing for 40, 45 minutes outside of stores. When I look at the guys in Fresh, and they've collaborated now with Kerrigan's, and they've taken it in to one of their key stores I seen last night. They've collaborated with the guys from the Press Up Group, and they're now building an Elephant and Castle, you know, a takeaway pack with the chicken wings, the sauces, the celery, you know, and when you look at all these trends that's happening at the moment, you know, I genuinely don't see them going away. I genuinely don't.
Tom, do you know what? When we started this
And
SME business stuff on a Thursday, myself and Jamie, we've been giving out tips and talking to people outside of what our interviews together have been. That's why it's great to bring someone like you in. One of the things we have been saying is that you need to support each other as SMEs, and you need to think of ways to collab with each other. So again, not getting into this if it's just making a difference as a carpenter, or you're on your sole trading your tools, just making a difference if you're a CEO of a company, founder of a company. You need to be able to connect with each other at this stage and see what value it can bring. And that example of using the NutriQuick online, the Cali Cali stuff, and collaborating and pushing out the samples of other people's products is genius, and something that everybody needs to be thinking about, and just hitting how easy it is to bring in your contacts. Pick up, what are you doing? What am I doing? Can we work together, test it and try it? And it's brilliant. And I got that box as well, and there was a load of stuff that I've never come across brand-wise, I won't lie. And I was saying, oh, this is something different, this is new. Didn't even understand why it was behind it till now, which is great.
The values have to connect as well. So there's no point us doing something that's massively high sugar and it's pulling away from who we are. So when we partner with the guys in Unilever, with Grace, that fits in. It's a good snacking, it'll fit into anyone's daily plan of the guys in Kind bars have been fantastic to us. Again, it fits into what we're trying to achieve. The guys in Synergy, beautiful product, Kombucha. Again, it fits into what we're trying to do. So we're not saying, taking...
it's not everything and anything.
Exactly.
It has to suit the same model.
Actually, just on that though as well, I mean, you touched on, like, we've talked a lot about like synergies and stuff like that, and looking after your community, or it sounds like you're, almost like your tribe in terms of your customer. Do you think as well, Tom, that you said you spent a lot of time on targeting in regards to social media and digital, and we touched on content creation and the example of Barry Kerrigan. Do you think that's something that a lot of SMEs should really think about, using social media as a like, if they don't have a marketing budget, but use it as a free channel to stick to their values and communicate with their tribe?
100%. And to be honest, when we started and we turned the online platform on, the first week we got 23 orders through. On the Friday, when everyone received, we put a phone call into each of them individually. What did you think of the meals? Is there anything we can do better? Is there anybody, or is there a brand that you'd like to see us connecting with? Every single customer that we have that orders off us, we don't generate back an email. We pick the phone up. Some of them get pissed off saying, it's like, oh, it's Danielle again, or it's Michael again. But we do that, and that's just purely not about trying to push an order on top of them because they buy it online. What we do is we're really connecting and asking them, are they happy? Is there another flavor they'd like us to produce within our range? With Cali Cali, we're so fortunate. People are so creative nowadays that they've all this time in their hands, and they're cooking the most fancy omelets and they're putting our hot sauce on it. All that content we're resharing. These guys are so happy because they're connecting and gaining more followers and getting what they're trying to achieve, if it's foodie photos. And it's free content for us that, this is some of the images. If you get a chance, have a look on
I've seen them. I've seen people being creative with the sauces, Tom, and use the sauces and all their meals, whether it's mince or whether it's an omelette, whatever they're cooking. And it's great because, like you said, number one, it's free content, but number one, people are using the product in a great way. And then the benefit will be the free content, which is great. But the social media is a no-brainer, isn't it, when it comes to great content?
And then, look, I suppose just on the Cali Cali side, where, when we hit the 15th of March, as I said, our strategy was not to raid the piggy bank. We made a decision. We were we've a small enough team. We've 7 in Cali Cali, and we were going to put everybody onto 2 days a week with the government support, which happened probably 2 weeks later. We took everybody back. Well, we said we'd pay everybody out till the end of the month, and then everybody moved to 2 or 2.5 days a week. When the government support came in, it was absolutely fantastic for ourselves, that we were able to keep all the team, but pivot them into different roles. So our sampler or brand ambassador, we put her into creating content for TikToks and all You know,
whatever the kids are doing these days.
I know. Well, look,
You know what? The three of us should do a TikTok at the end of this interview. 3 ticks.
I get enough slagging over social media in general, Paul. I don't need to do more of that.
Yeah. So you know, we really, I suppose, looked again at our business plan. We weren't looking to enter the UK until 2021. We weren't looking to enter the Middle East until the middle of 2021. I took the phone out. I said, look, guys, need phone calls with you, bringing plans forward. Reach out to my network again. We've a force orders now going to the UK next week.
Wow.
We'll probably get into, we built a very strong strategy where you've got the likes of Cardiff Sports Nutrition, Protein Pick and Mix. These guys, huge followings. You won't make a million from them, but what you will do is you'll see the brand with the right accounts. You'll get that premiumness, you'll get it into the influencers' hands, and then you'll start creating your demand from that. So we've got a really clear plan now from now to the end of the year in the UK.
Tom,
the Middle East.
Just a question though on sorry to jump in there, but I'm actually curious on the leadership side of things there, of how you dealt with that, communicating that to your team, you know, kind of going down to okay guys, look, we have to go down to 2 days a week here, actually, and you know what, the role you're doing, I need you to do something else here, you know. How did that sit with you, firstly, kind of as, you know, as the leader of the group, and, you know, with your own values and the company values, and how did you communicate that and work it with the team?
Yeah, look, I suppose, you know, each of the individuals knew that as a startup business, you're always going to have a burn rate, and you hope to get to a stage where that burn rate turns back into the black. And you know, we were hoping as a business model that we'd be hitting the black by July, which was close to 12 months, and you'd hold it at break even to the end of the year, and 2021 you would hopefully start seeing some profitability coming from the business. And every individual has been part of that journey, so they'd all have visibility of where we were going and what we needed to do. And I suppose sometimes being straight and honest without trying to sit down and, you know, drag something out, which is the inevitable anyway. Yeah. And it's just sharp. And that's probably the individual that I am, that I suppose I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for the business. And I'm telling each of them, yes, when things come back to normal, you're going to be working with a very successful brand. You've gained so much knowledge working with the people you're working with. You're getting coached. We will do what we can. If there's opportunities that I go out and look for new opportunities for Cali Cali, and we get the business back up, you're going to come back in faster, you know. And we done that on the Monday, and everybody within the team rode in, which was fantastic. And then, as I said, we were fortunate that we didn't have to bring people back. And I'm genuinely finding the team more productive now, where, you know, on a Thursday we have our Zoom meeting, and it's there's no KPIs talked about. It's just purely, how are you getting on? Any ideas? Thinking outside the box. And, you know, I don't know if you follow Bernard Brogan, and we've taken a very similar strategy to what he's doing in Legacy, with creating that type of culture within our own team. And, you know, we've got a very, very experienced person working in new product development. Some of these projects are happening 6 months faster than we ever envisaged. You know, our export markets, I would have never had the time to reach out to my contacts in the Middle East. We've now partnered up with one of the biggest distributors in the Middle East. I have Niall working behind the scenes on creating all the labeling in Arabic, getting our halal certificates. We will have our first, yesterday we agreed our first orders with them, which is 2 containers of product. And
that's brilliant, isn't it?
And again, we will be on sale across Carrefour, Spinneys, come the middle of September. That wasn't even in the plan. And to add to that, I probably would have been spending 4 or 5 times going out and doing market research, which would have cost me probably 20 grand, where now with technology, as the bottom line in the business is saving so much money, and we're now thinking much more productively as a group of people. And So when I'm building 2021 budgets, I can tell you now there's zero travel going in for anyone.
And do you think that trend will carry? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Great that the budgets are getting much. They're scaling back. No one's going to be traveling anymore. Zoom is the new way to do meetings, and that will just say big time. Tom, just a question for you on the finance, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
You mentioned the COVID payment that allows you to bring the staff back. I must say, hats off to the government. I think it was great how quick they called. I know there's lots of problems with it for some people, but I think it was brilliant to allow people to keep their employees in work. Like you said, you've got to bring them down to 2-day week to be able to bring them back in because of the COVID payment, which I must say, we're a country building SME businesses. Same with my business. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. But how do you mentioned the burn rate, and what I want to try and get from this interview for loads of people is that obviously you were successful in relation to Fulfill. You left that business, set up 2 new businesses. So I won't get into personal stuff with you, but from an asset point of view and from a business point of view, you mentioned the red and the black and the burn rate. So if I'm a new business and I'm setting up tomorrow, you mentioned 12 months. Some people say 3 years, 2 years. So give us that first of all. And second of all, Tom, when do you not put your own money in? So when do you know, can you just explain to people watching, there's somebody out there today that has a business, it's going through the shit because of COVID-19, and they have a bank balance over here in their personal name. When should they not do the dumping more money into a product or a company that's going down?
That's probably, it's a really difficult, I suppose, situation to, if you'd asked me this on the 14th of March, I could have been so much transparent about it because, you know, you got this pandemic that has never been seen in any of our lifetimes or our parents or our grandparents. And, you know, the whole mindset of consumers, you know, and the likes of Jamie having to close the door in 2 of his businesses, which completely out of his control. And you know, you're going now into a full rebuild again to get consumers back to try and gain an exponential experience. I was only looking at Louis Fitzgerald in the Potchy and Still, and a guy now that's maximising social media with his visor on him and whatever else. And look, it's fantastic, but that's hard work to do that again. You've got to be cruel to be kind, right? There's no 2 ways. I'm a black and white guy. I build a business plan. Within that business plan, it's got X amount of distribution. If the distribution has the right price, the right availability, and the right awareness behind it, and you're building that month by month and reviewing it. When you hit your business plan points of what your money's meant to be spent on, if the consumer's not picking it up, unfortunately, you're just going to be shoveling cash into something that is just genuinely not going to work. And, you know, you're seeing probably 2,000 brands a month being across Europe within the food and drink industry. And you know, without
2,000 brands a month. What do you mean by that, Tom?
New products, of new, genuinely.
2,000 new a month.
Yeah. Like even when I worked with Red Bull, we gave up tracking after 2,000 versions of trying to be the next Red Bull, you know, and unless, you know, and there's a lot of ways of doing your analysis, doing your research, understanding your consumer. But a lot of people think they have a great idea and it tastes great to them. And I'll give an example of me and Niall. We when we had Fulfill, and we just constantly got people saying, hey, will you make a vegan version of this? So we went and got our food scientist, and he worked in it for 6 months, and we tasted it, and we were like, boom, we're on now. We're going to be in the top 20 brands in Ireland. We used to do these things called flavor labs, and we're going to be introducing them now into NutriQuick. So we put out to, I suppose, people that follow us, people that talk about us, and let them help us go on the journey of creating the next product, and back to your community and your tribe, and use your facility to really create content, but create a really nice story that someone is from here and is taking it to there. But back to the vegan brownie. So me and I are high five. This is it. We're retired in 12 months' time. Brought all the vegans in. Everyone know, I wouldn't buy that. Not a chance. Doesn't taste great. And only that we listened to people. We would have gone and ran ahead and talked to ourselves. We've done it. We've got the macros right. We've got the packaging right. But if the product doesn't taste great, and I think a lot of businesses just don't do the research and understand the positioning where the product fits, the margin models, and understanding that, you know, if a retailer gives that amount of space and the category margin's 50%, you're not coming in at less than 50. That's it. So if it doesn't work and stack up from the outset, you're at nothing. But a retailer's not going to take a loss in margin. You know, using our I suppose, the opportunities at Chagas, Board Bia, Enterprise Ireland, your local enterprise board. A lot of people overlook that, where Board Bia have a library with more information than Google at this stage on market trends, and it's taking the time, it's getting registered with them, it's going in and saying, hey, I'm going to go and do a focus group in Mount Street, bring 50 people in, give them a €25 voucher to use your product, or €30, give your time, and then saying, right, does all this stack up before a launch? And I've just seen so many businesses that aren't doing their due diligence before that. Then to add to that, you've got your business plan, and if the consumer's not picking the product up, you're just going to end up losing your house and there's nothing. They're the bravest people in the world to take the opportunity to go and set up a business, you know. And you look in America, you're not an entrepreneur unless you're a fail, you know. In America, you have to fail to be an entrepreneur, where sometimes just the stigma, especially in Ireland, it's you know, people crawl, you know, it's
yeah. So in relation to that, then it's more so in relation to that burn rate, then, Tom, and not pumping your own money in, it's literally just sticking to your business plan. Okay, COVID-19 aside.
And that's what I mean. I you know, it's very difficult today to say that to somebody.
Yeah, because of COVID-19. And Jamie, you always said that as well. I remember one of the first times we had a chat, you were talking about what was you always say, what doesn't get measured, doesn't get achieved, doesn't get done. And it's probably the exact same from a training point of view.
Yeah, it's a little bit as well. It sounds like, I don't know, Tom, if I'm kind of seeing or hearing this right, but it's a little bit like you might have an idea, or, you know, a really good, you know, you might have a passion for something, but like if the product A isn't good enough, and then if you don't have the consumer to buy it, and you're matching them up, then you're in this world of and we've talked about this, Paul, where it's kind of, the business might be a bit more of like a lifestyle hobby type business than an actual business. And it's IDing the metrics that matter to you, or the metrics that matter to the business rather than to you, if that is something that is sustainable, you know what I mean? You might get a flash in the pan, but like, it's a very different game altogether to have the success that you've had with Fulfill or Cali Cali or, you know, NutriQuick. Like how you get that kind of almost like a legacy, how you create that to use an American football term, that kind of dynasty, you know, that kind of continued success along the way.
Yeah, like, again, for us, like, we have the playbook, and the playbook is very, very simple to us anyway. You know, where we set out, we do our market research, we see if the scalability in the category that we're playing. We understand we could have gone with the Cali Cali as nachos. The category's worth about 4 million. If we went with crisps, the category's worth 120 million. Right, let's pivot in there and go after 1% of that, than going after 2% of the smaller category. And you know, I'll give an example of two chemists from Scotland that contacted me, and they created this hangover product which has been approved through all different.
What's the name, Tom? What's the name? Quick.
Bank holiday weekend. We need
sold.
But no, long story short, the guys came and they built a business plan. It was very similar to looking like Red Bull in the shape and form as that, and they built a business plan on being a soft drink. And I'm like, guys, firstly, there's going to be a stigma around somebody walking in to buy an alcohol hangover cure. They're going to say, your man's a bloody dip. So, you know, there will be that within store. Secondly, not everybody drinks, so you're not using it as a refreshment. And when I looked at the business plan and seeing the potential of where it could be sold and what could be done, they had built it off soft drinks, which was 20 times more. And I'm saying, guys, it's never going to happen. And, you know, it's sometimes you just that little bit of understanding what the category is worth versus
Yeah, just basic homework, Tom, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
in fairness, and not because, but you let your passion get away. You might have solved a problem, but that problem mightn't fit where you're trying to put it into. It's trying to put a triangle into a square, maybe shape. Right, Tom. Look, in fairness, going through COVID-19, you're not saying out the other side of COVID-19 yet. No business is, but you've obviously done well in relation to cutting down costs, pivoting back into the online space. So just before we wrap up, because I'm conscious of people's time on these, when hopefully we still have our viewers watching, but when it comes into this, you mentioned going back to online. So you're probably like, NutriQuick was probably one of the few businesses that kind of not give up in the online, but went into the kind of distribution, which was great for the product. Now we're seeing so many people that were relying on distribution going back online. What are the big tips? Okay, we talked about the content piece, and we know that social media is important. I use social media all the time. I'd be lost without it from my brand, from the Ask Paul point of view, and the business. But what else? Like what my fear is, if I was in your game, obviously not, but if it was, I'd be going, shit, if I turn my back on my distribution channel, so how would you balance that?
You gotta keep
not turn your back, but how would you, like, if you're now bringing customers away from going into Aldi, not what you're doing, but where do you get that balance, and where do you get it with your distributors? You're not pissing them off, I suppose.
I suppose where we're positioning it is more around a healthy nutritional pack. So we're not trying. So within BWG, for example, the consumer doesn't go in to buy 10 meals. They go in at lunchtime. They're going in if it's in Eurospar Barrow Street, or if it's in Fresh Grand Canal, or Fresh in Camden Street. That consumer has the need and the want for that time of consumption. Where for us, we're targeting a nutritional pack that somebody is looking for a 7-day plan. They ain't going to a shop.
Different consumers,
it's completely different consumers.
But it's still the brand awareness then, so that person might quickly go into BWG then when they're out of 7-day meals and pick up a product.
Exactly, and I suppose the key is that I suppose if you were just targeting online and the strategy was around pricing to drive people away from retail, but that's not what we've done. Like, people have to pay for delivery on top of it. We don't give free delivery. Our price points, we never ever go below our recommended retail within our convenience and our partners. So I suppose that a lot of guys, the big mistakes they make is they get greedy and they want an online platform and retail, and they can make better margin online, and they'll go and sell it cheaper online than Mr. Retailer. But Mr. Retailer has a 26% operational cost, and he cannot go below X percent. And you know, it's very short-term thinking, but if you want your relationship long-term,
and fair play, Tom. That's actually what I was trying to get to. You're right. Sorry for going the long way around. It is that, you know, it's not burning the relationships and making sure that you still look after your existing, I suppose, distribution channels during COVID-19. Don't burn any bridges, I suppose, to anyone watching.
100%. I mean, it's every one of them at the moment.
Well, we talked about that, Paul, before, where like, you know, you're managing your stakeholders, and you've got all different stakeholders. You've got suppliers, you've got distributors, you've got your customers, you've got your staff. They're all stakeholders there that you've got to manage the relationships in these kind of stressful times. And I think, Tom, you've done a really good job of being really clear, communicating the strategy when you have to pivot, being quite open about that, and pivoting where necessary, and communicating that to the team, communicate to your stakeholders as well, all stakeholders, distributors. And that's how you manage those relationships, because, you know, we will come through this, and SMEs are going to be the ones that drive us through this and get us out the other side.
Yeah, 100%. Tom, before we finish up the interview, do you want me to ask, you mentioned consulting there for a couple of other brands. Is that something you guys are still doing? Is something you're open to? So if anyone's watching this and they are, or they've got a product, got a business, and they're thinking of reaching out, can they get in contact?
Paul, I mean, genuinely, myself, Noel, and another good friend of mine that has owned a distribution business, we took a project on in March. It's coming, the brand, in probably the end of August. It is a fantastic brand. These guys have done 2 years of research on it. They've created something that's really, really special. And when they launch, I'll come back on and give you in 5 minutes who they are. But they offered me equity in the business, and I was fair to them, where when I came out of Fulfill, I said I would only ever invest in 3 companies.
Right.
The guys who created the Irish Fairy Door Company, Gavin and Aoife, fantastic people. They moved on from that business and they've created a company called Innovate. They've created some brands called the Reindeer Feeder, Boy Blanky, Rainbow Reward Squad, Wellness. It's a range of magical socks and pajamas for children, and everything is around health. Around wellness, around mindset and educational products for children. I got involved with them guys because I really was passionate about what they were doing. I give some time every month to them. Cali Cali takes a lot more than I was expecting from the
Sorry
outset.
about the dogs in the background.
And NutriQuick. And I suppose the point is, these guys offered me some equity in their business, and I said no, because I wouldn't have been able to give them the time.
I'll be back. This is the beauty of working from home. I have to let someone in, so I'll be back in 1 second.
Far away.
But I suppose, Paul, the point is that again, for SMEs, be careful who you're taking into your business.
Brilliant.
If you're giving away equity, ensure that you're getting a real value package and you've got what it says on the tin, because I could have gone and taken a percentage of these guys' business and said, hey, you get X amount of time. You put that on a page, I don't have to give the time. You know, I can take a step back. And for me, I'm just, as I said, I'm a very black and white person. I would never do that on somebody. And you know, it's just really important that if you're taking in consultants into your business or whatever else, that you're ensuring from the outset or giving away equity, be really clear on why you're doing that.
Right, very good. Okay, excellent. Well, Tom, listen, sorry, go ahead.
One more point as well, just on, I suppose, businesses today that there is potential in their business and they are seeing the rates of sale and they are hitting that cash burn where do we go next? You know, don't be afraid of selling some equity within your business. Like, I mean, if the potential is there and you're seeing all the signs out of it, would you be better having X% of X million or 100% of 0 million? And people just need to stop getting too caught up with the percentages, because if you've got the right people around you and you've got the money to take the business to the next level.
I always say to founders or companies that I've invested in that you're better to have a small slice of a big pie than to have the whole small pie. I mean, really. But you gotta find the right people. I think it's fair to say, Tom. You gotta. You can get, if it's a really good business, you can get the money from different places and different institutions. But it's the real value is the team that's investing in you, and are they going to help your business grow?
Couldn't agree more. Listen, gents, on that note, Tom, I knew this interview wouldn't fail. I knew it would deliver absolute amazing content. I'm delighted with it, and I'm sure when people are watching this interview later, hopefully, as we know, it's going to be online, so it lives forever, which is great. So I hope you got a lot of content out of that from Tom, a lot of great advice there, and it's not rocket science. So I think if you can employ what Tom has said to any business, it should be successful if you have the right product and you spend the right amount of time, I suppose. Tom, absolute gent. It's been great. Thanks so much for your time. I know your schedule is pretty hectic, so we do appreciate you giving myself and Jamie the time.
No, fantastic. Delighted to be on. Delighted.
Appreciate it, Tom.
All right, guys.
All right, cheers, guys. Have a good one, everyone. Cheerio. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.